Our story begins in the ancient city of Jerusalem, during one of the most turbulent times in its history. The mighty Babylonian Empire, led by King Nebuchadnezzar, had laid siege to the city. Inside the walls, fear and desperation reigned as supplies dwindled and hope faded. Amidst this chaos, the prophet Jeremiah walked the streets, delivering a message from God, a message of surrender to the Babylonians, which many perceived as treachery. The prophet Jeremiah had long been a voice of warning, urging the people to turn back to God. But now, his message had changed. It was no longer a call to repentance, but a plea to surrender to the Babylonians to save lives. This message, however, was seen as treason by many, and it put Jeremiah's life in grave danger. Inside the palace, the officials gathered to discuss their growing concerns about Jeremiah. The officials of Judah, led by men like Shephatiah, Gedaliah, Jucal, and Pasha, were powerful and influential. They believed that Jeremiah's words were demoralizing the people and weakening the city's defense. They viewed him as a threat that had to be eliminated to maintain order and encourage resistance against the Babylonians. They approached King Zedekiah, arguing that Jeremiah's presence was a danger to the city's survival. King Zedekiah, though a king, was often swayed by the opinions of those around him. Weak and fearful, he yielded to their demands, allowing them to imprison Jeremiah. Jeremiah was taken and thrown into a cistern, a deep, dark pit that was once used to store water. But now, in the midst of the siege, it held only mud. The prophet sank into the mire, left to die a slow and agonizing death by starvation and exposure. The officials believed that with Jeremiah gone, they could maintain control and perhaps even avert the disaster they feared. Jeremiah, alone in the cistern, calling out to God in prayer, his voice echoing in the emptiness. Ebed Melech, an Ethiopian eunuch serving in the palace, heard of Jeremiah's plight. Though he was a foreigner and held a position that many would consider lowly, Ebed Melech was a man of great compassion and faith. He could not stand by and watch an innocent man perish unjustly. Driven by his sense of justice, Ebed Melech went to King Zedekiah, who was holding court at the Benjamin Gate. This was a bold move, as approaching the king with such a request was fraught with risks, especially for someone in Ebed Melech's position. Standing before King Zedekiah, with the officials watching suspiciously, Ebed Melech, with respect but firm conviction, spoke to the king, saying, "My lord the king, these men have acted wickedly in all they have done to Jeremiah the prophet. They have thrown him into a cistern, where he will starve to death when there is no longer any bread in the city." King Zedekiah listens, his face showing signs of internal conflict. King Zedekiah, though weak and often swayed by others, was moved by Ebed Melech's plea. Perhaps it was the Ethiopian's courage or the realization of the injustice being done that led the king to act. He ordered Ebed Melech to take 30 men and rescue Jeremiah from the cistern. Ebed Melech wasted no time. He gathered 30 men and made his way to the cistern where Jeremiah was held. With thoughtful care, he found old rags and worn-out clothes to cushion the ropes, ensuring that Jeremiah would not be hurt further during the rescue. Lowering the rags and ropes, calling down to Jeremiah to prepare for the lift. Ebed Melech's actions were not just a rescue mission. They were a testament to his compassion and humanity. Jeremiah, exhausted and weak, was gently pulled from the cistern, saved from certain death. Thanks to Ebed Melech's bravery, the prophet lived to continue his mission. God did not overlook Ebed Melech's courage and faith. Later, the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah with a special message for Ebed Melech. "Go and tell Ebed Melech the Ethiopian, this is what the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel, says. I am about to fulfill my words against this city, words concerning disaster, not prosperity. "But I will rescue you on that day," declares the Lord. "You will not be given into the hands of those you fear. I will save you. You will not fall by the sword, but will escape with your life because you trust in me," declares the Lord. In the midst of Jerusalem's fall, as chaos reigned and destruction loomed, Ebed Melech was spared. His faith in God, his courage to stand up for what was right, and his compassionate heart did not go unnoticed by the Almighty. As foretold by Jeremiah, Jerusalem eventually fell to the Babylonians. The city was burned, the temple was destroyed, and the people were taken into exile. But amidst the devastation, Ebed Melech was kept safe, just as God had promised. His trust in God had led him to act with courage, and in return, God honored that trust with protection and deliverance. Ebed Melech's story, though brief in the pages of the Bible, leaves a powerful legacy. He is a reminder that true courage comes from a heart that seeks justice, a heart that is moved by compassion, and a heart that trusts in God. Ebed Melech, the Ethiopian eunuch, might have been an unlikely hero, but his actions and his faith made him a pivotal figure in a time of great crisis.